Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So we're at the park with the XK250 Alien Quadcopter, FPV Quadcopter. Here we got the whole FPV setup, and gonna do some tests today. Gonna put it through its paces, do a flight test, and see how this thing performs. So let's get started. We've got fully charged batteries all around in the controller, on the FPV screen, and on the XK Alien. Very cool. So I got about a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind blowing from this direction. Kind of variable. I'm gonna fly out, do some range testing, put it through its paces, do some of the advanced features, and do some recording on the video as well, and see how this thing does. So just gonna take a snapshot with this right trigger here. You can see the screen blink, and so that should be a picture. And then starting the video, we're just pressing and holding the right trigger. So you see the screen flash, and then we see this countdown over here where in red it's counting down for the video. Let's try it out. So nice and smooth. The initial takeoff is really smooth. Go ahead and get a little bit of a close-up shot on this thing. Wow, so this thing is super smooth. Liking how it's flying right now. Basically, for flipping, we're going to click in the right stick one time, and then any direction it will do a flip. So it looks like this one is a little heavy for flipping, so let's try that again a little higher. So clicking in the right thumbstick and then going left. Okay, so it's doing a flip. You're just going to want to get it up there, you know, maybe 10 or more feet, because it will drop a little bit, it looks like. So let's see some of the advanced features we launched in this direction. Let's go ahead and do a left click on the left trigger, and that should give us a return to home. So I'm going to click here. So yeah, so that's working. So it's coming back, and then when I put the input on the right stick, it cancels the return to home. So if we wanted to go into headless mode, we're going to go ahead and hold in the left trigger. Hearing that constant long beat, so I should be able to yaw in any direction with my left thumbstick, and my right stick is still forward is forward, back is back, right is always right, left is always left. So the bearing, it's holding its bearing according to where it launched from, the direction. So it looks like it's working well. Forward, back, good. And then so to cancel out of that, let's see what happens if we just press the left stick, left trigger one time. So it does a return to home while it's in headless. So that's good to know. Get out of headless, hold in the left trigger, and we're out of headless. We hear a couple beeps. Okay, so gaining some pitch for faster flight, I'm pushing in the left stick down, and we're hearing a little click. And it looks like it's got a couple of pitch rates. Kind of hard to tell right now in the wind, but yeah, it looks like it's got 2 or 3. We'll double check that in the house and make sure. But anyway, here's our yaw. Let's go ahead and do a range test. And I'm also recording. I'm going to try a quick little snapshot while it's recording, and let's see if it does it. Nope. So it looks like you can't take a picture while it's recording a video unless you stop the video. So anyway, let's continue with the range test. So I'm flying out, and I'm just doing a roll while I'm flying out, just to see where it kind of drops out. Forth, back and forth. I'm probably about 200 feet now, all the way across the park now, maybe 300, and I still have great control. So I'm not going to go any further. I'm way over there. Let's try to return to home, see if that works when we're all the way out there. So here it comes, it's coming back. So it's coming back to our general direction. Oh, it worked great. So no matter which yaw I was in, it came back to in my direction. Let me go ahead and stop the recording and take a picture up here. So I'm going to hold long press in the right trigger, stop the recording, and now I'm going to take a few pictures from kind of up high. I'll go ahead and put those on the screen so you can see these pictures and how it looks. Let's just go ahead and do some sport flying till we use up our battery. I don't know, it might only have 2 rates. So this is the high rate. I am seeing some arm flashing right now. I think that might be its low voltage warning there. So just gonna kind of fly around fast until we lose power, just to see how this thing looks. So this is 3.7 volt, so it really doesn't have a huge amount of power, but it's dealing with 5 to 10 mile per hour winds. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we ran out of power. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. And it's good to know that it can still push out the FPV when it does run out of power. You can see that blinking there on the back. So just keep that in mind. It looks like it will drop when it runs out of power. But we're gonna get all these timings. Let's go ahead and indoors and get a flight test. That was a good park test. Okay, so we're in the house with the X250. The X250, and I'm going to do a little bit of a house flight here with no wind, absolutely zero wind here. Going to see how it does in a no wind environment, and just kind of run it through its paces and resetting the accelerometer. If it is flying kind of weird, just make sure your trims are centered. You're going to hear that long beep, and then go ahead and bring both sticks down to the bottom left, and you're going to see the flashing, and that means it just kind of reset it. Do that on a level surface, and let's try to fly it, see how it does. Alright, so nice clear picture. Flying super stable. Let me just kind of do a little hover test here, get it kind of in the center of the room, and go ahead and let it hover. So you can see it's pretty darn stable in its hover. It's kind of drifting a little bit and dropping just a little, but still really good. So let's see, rates of flight. Let's see how the yaw rate is. So you can see the yaw there. There's some flips, so the right stick will do your flips. Pushing the right stick down in any direction does some flips. So it drops a little, but then it actually keeps and maintains its elevation. So I'm going to hover and do a flip without touching the acceleration. So you can see how it dropped and then actually came back up to kind of where it was. So really good at flipping and maintaining its altitude. Clicking in the left trigger button here on top should be our return to home. So it's coming back a little bit to the right, so it's getting just a tad bit skewed there. Just a little. It's coming back in our general direction, so it still does work. And then clicking and holding that same button puts it in headless mode, so we can be rotating in any direction, and then back is back towards us, forward is forward, right is right, left is left. So that's called the headless mode. And it's following that same bearing that the return to home uses, and we can see how it is slightly off. When I'm pulling directly back, it is going kind of to the back right, but it's coming back in our general direction. And then basically you can just click that top button in again, and that'll give you a return to home, or hold it back in to cancel the headless mode, and we're back in regular mode. Let's do a little lift test really quick in no wind in the house. I know the battery's probably halfway gone, but let's just try it. So from a hover to full throttle. So pretty good, not bad with the camera on there and a whole FPV system. It's definitely faster than some. Cool. So I'm clicking and holding the right trigger and it stopped the video. And now I'm going to try to take some pictures. Hover up there a little bit. One single click on the right trigger and it's taking some pictures. We can see the screen flash and that should be the pictures. Holding in the right trigger again and it's back to recording. Okay, so pretty impressed so far. We can also see the lighting here in the house. We got a nice red on the back and orange in the front, so really easy to tell orientation even from the side. We can see that red light. Kind of hard to see the orange lights from the side, but the red light we can see pretty clearly from the side here. Really easy to control. I really like the looks of this one. This one has that kind of neat, I guess that's why it's called the Alien, but it kind of has that neat alien looking look to it. Okay, so here's the low level blinking lights. I'm going to see what happens really quick when I shut off the controller before, oh, right on the table. Okay, so before the low voltage drop hit, I just went ahead and shut off the controller. We can see a couple seconds and it will drop. Still recording. You can see that it's still recording in there even though I shut off the controller. Let's go ahead and rebind and kind of let it do its low voltage landing and see what happens. I think I might have done this in the park, but might as well do it again in the house just to verify. We can see that flashing really good. All the lights are flashing when it's at its end of its battery life. Getting kind of weak now. I'm giving it full throttle now and it's just barely hovering. I'm at full throttle here on the stick. Now it's dropping. Go ahead and let it just drop. You notice the video kind of is cut out. It's all fuzzy now on the video. And I guess it's because it's sucking up too much power when it's at the end of its battery life, and you can see the video was getting all fuzzy. But the video is back now that it shut off the motors. Going to go ahead and stop the video recording by holding in the right trigger. That'll save the video. Cool, so that was a great house flight and we're able to see just how everything performed in the house. But we'll go over all the pros and cons in just a sec. Back at the bench, we'll talk about it, get all the specifics of it, and get the flight times and everything. So, all right, let's get back to the bench and see how this thing did. Hey guys, welcome back. So we're back on the bench with the XK250 Alien quadcopter, FPV quadcopter, and I'm going to do a quick pros and cons on this guy and just see how it did. So first of all, the looks are awesome. As I mentioned before in the initial unbox and setup, if you want to check that out, I'll have a card pop up here so you can check that out if you missed that. But anyways, as far as the looks go, this thing is awesome. It had great fit and finish. Really impressed with XK on how they're making their things so sleek and really good looking. And the lighting was phenomenal as far as the orientation lighting, the props, different color. Couldn't have asked for more as far as lighting went and orientation. Everything was good with the flips. The thrust was maybe a little sluggish, but it does have an FPV system on it. So I would attribute that to its FPV system. When you do take the FPV system off, it's nice and peppy. A lot more peppy than with that on, since there is more draw and more weight on any kind of FPV system. Overall, the return to home and the headless modes worked pretty good. It did get a little bit skewed after a while of flying, so just keep that in mind, that heading will get slightly skewed on this one, kind of like it does with all quadcopters, there are very few that actually retain their heading well after you do some flying. So one thing I check on these FPV quads is if you can take a picture simultaneously while recording FPV. This one you couldn't. As far as the FPV goes, the FPV was good. Kind of didn't really like, I don't really like the screens that are so shiny like this. I like the more matte finish screens, but at least it had a sunshade on it, so you know, it helped with the glare. But that really shiny screen makes it really hard to see in any kind of light. Kind of wish they would have done a matte finish on that one. Getting to the pitch, roll, and yaw rates, it seemed like this thing only had one rate of yaw, but it was good, and it had 2 pitch and roll rates, which you couldn't really tell. You would hit this left stick in, and you would only hear 1 beep for both. So I had a really hard time figuring out which pitch and roll rate I was in, and you only get a few more degrees in the high rate, which is really hard to tell. I actually had to look at it while I was flying really closely in the house to see what it was doing. So they need to make like a double beep on this one so you know you're in rate 2. Otherwise it's really hard to know if you're in the fastest possible rate you can be in. But it did actually go into rate 2 while you were flying, as long as you can push in this left stick here. So besides that, this thing performed pretty darn well. I'm pretty impressed with this one. Definitely in the realm of fit and finish, it's above a lot of the rest. One thing to be careful of is when you do have the camera off, it seemed like the low voltage cutoff, the automatic cutoff, did drop the battery maybe even below 3 volts. So I always try to do a low voltage cutoff test when I run the motors, even when the battery's dead, to see. I like to look for that low voltage cutoff. And when I was flying without the camera, it seemed to take a lot longer for it to cut off, probably because the camera wasn't drawing anything and making it drop faster. And it seemed to actually go, I immediately put the battery on the charger, and it was like at 2.8 volts. So you're going to want to be careful with this one on that low voltage cutoff. Maybe it's just my model here, or maybe they all have it, but what I would recommend with this one is immediately when it lands, go ahead and shut off everything so you don't kill your battery on this one. So that's a little con on this one here. And like I said, I'm not sure if they all have that issue. So getting to the ranges and the flight times, really superb range. This was getting 300 feet plus in the park, and the FPV matched that. As far as you can control it, you had nice clear FPV, so no problems there. As far as the flight times go, with the cam, with the whole FPV setup mounted up, I was getting 5 minutes and 5 seconds until the low voltage lights would blink, and another about 55 seconds up to 6 minutes until it would do its low voltage landing. So not the best flight time, but for an FPV quad, that's kind of the norm. And then without the camera, if you just wanted to fly around, do some fun flying without doing any kind of FPV or pictures, and that was 8 minutes and 50 seconds until the low voltage blinking lights would start blinking, and then another 20 seconds until it would go ahead and do its low voltage landing. So much more time if you take the camera off, because this thing is drawing power, plus the weight is really taxing the battery when you're flying. Overall, I think this is a great quad. Really like the look of it. Again, I know I mentioned that a lot of times. Check out for another video I have. I went ahead and did a little mod on this. Cool thing about this is you can hook it up, since it is 5.8 gigahertz, you can hook it up to your FPV goggles if you have an FPV goggle set. And what I went ahead and did is I cut a little notch here in the body here, just so I could put the camera in like this and fly kind of faster FPV. When the camera's pointing up like this, you can fly faster and you still have a level view. And so I have another video coming up. When it's ready, I'll go ahead and have that card pop up here. And I have a video of me actually putting on my goggles, flying around the park, and kind of doing a recorded video of my goggles while it's recording video in here, so you can kind of see both screens and see how it did in kind of a race, FPV race scenario. So watch out for that video. That video should be up soon as well. Anyway guys, I hope you liked the review. I do a lot of reviews like this. Check out my channel. I do a lot of reviews, flight tests, mods, on all kinds of quadcopters, all the way up from the nano quads all the way up to the GPS, more advanced smart quads. I also do some RC cars and trucks and other technology like cameras and stuff as well. So check out the channel. I think you like it. And don't forget to check out the link down in the description. If you do decide to pick one of these up, go ahead and click that link. It'll take you where you can purchase this. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.